Welcome back. Today I will show you one fast way to create a simple slider. Without further ado, I am NeoDev, let's grow together and let's get it on. Alright guys, as usual, let's jump into our VS Code, exclamation mark, hit enter, and then let's give it a title of slide, and then a website icon, as usual. So from my images, JavaScript logo, remove the type attribute. That's for Internet Explorer as far as a shortcut keyword. Now for my icons, I already have them here. So this is coming from boxicons.com, and now let's link our CSS right away. /CSS, and as well as my script tag. So /main.js. Now inside of my body, I will have my container div with the class of container, and first my 4 images. Right away, 4 images, and then I will have 2 buttons. A button with a class of float btn using camel case, so ×2, and both of them will have an icon from boxicon.com. Of course, I'm going to grab them, copy, paste it again, but instead of left, this should be right. Let's hit live server. In the meantime, this first one should have the ID of prev, and the other one the ID of next. Of course, our image looks gigantic, don't worry about it. Let's jump into our CSS right away and restart everything. So box sizing, border box, margin, pageant 0. Okay, now let's make our images responsive. So images, we'll say object feed, cover, and then width 100%. And of course the father, which is my container, I will set the dimension max width 720 pixels, height of auto, then let's give a position relative, then display flex to set each image next to each other until the buttons. You see, there you go. Now after that, I would like to give it just for testing purposes a border 3 pixels, solid 333, dark gray, to see the initial dimension of my container. Okay, now we would like to target the body. Let's give it a background color just for you guys, 24 to make it dark. There you go. Now we'll save make height 100 ph, then overflow of hidden, and then I would like to place my container at the center. And the fastest way to do that is by saying display grid, place items at the center. Of course, I made a mistake. Okay, those buttons should be inside of my div of container, and remove those. Sorry about that. And that should do it. There you go. Okay, now having said that, we need to move on with my buttons itself. So after that, say float btn, we will give them position of absolute. Now top should be 50% to give it some position there, then cursor of pointer, width 30 pixels, height 30 pixels, and border radius should be, it could be 30 pixels, but you can use percentage 50%, and that should do it. Now for the next, we will apply a right property of 10 pixels, and just to make sure, for the previous one, which is already there, but I would like to set it anyway, left 10 pixels. And there you go, this is our slider. That's it for our CSS for now. Now let's jump into our main.js. What do we need? Well, we need to apply the manipulation as usual. We need the images and both of our buttons. So I already have them here. So images, document.query selector all of my images, then document get element by ID, my next button, this one, and my previous button. All right, so for my next button, I will apply a listener, which is going to be click, of course, and my callback function, I will call it nextFx, that stands for function. So nextFx. Let's remove this. Now, in order to achieve our slider, we need to apply or create a variable starts from 0. This is our main logic. We're going to apply like a counter. So if I hit next, of course I want my counter to be added by 1, so ++. but I need a conditional. If my counter is more or equals than my images that length, I would love to restart my counter from to what exactly? Back to 0. After this, let me just console log my count, and then I will create a function that is called slide img, slide each image. So let's jump into it. Right now. So slide img to create it. Now for my images, this query selector returns an outlist collections of elements, and then I can say for each images. So inside of my callback function right here, I will say image style that transform equals backticks, and I will show translate, if I can spell, x parentheses dollar signs curly braces. This should be minus, and then I will say my count times 100 what percent. This is our main logic, and that's thanks to the count variable right here. So without further ado, I believe that should do it. Let's inspect the page to see the console. Next, our count is 1, next our count is 2, our count is 3, but if I hit next, we should see the first image. Of course, this slide looks a little bit awful, so inside of our images, we need to apply the transition property all that 5 seconds. And let's give it a whirl this time, and back again to the first image. Now for the other one, which is pretty much the same, so instead of next, this should be prev. Instead of next, this should be pref. It stands for, previous button. And now let's create that function. So prevFx, no params. Now this is the opposite, so minus minus, because we are subtracting 1 to our counter. Then our if statement, if our counter is less than 0, I would love to restart my counter back to my images that length, but minus 1. This is how we get our last image. And again, we're going to console that log that count, and let's call our function slide image. So again, expand that window, console, inspect, and next, previous, and also previous, and also next, and ta-da! However, we are missing 2 points here. So if we shrink this window, go back again to give it the last styles, let's remove this border that was for testing purposes, and now we can say overflow here and right here. And now we can say we have our slider.